Good morning or good afternoon. Today we'll be recording a video on Quizzette 814. The numbering, I couldn't change it on this Quizzette. It was a PDF from an old Quizzette I had. So if you have 10 on your Quizzette, it's actually 814. Please write your last name, comma, your first name, today's date, and your team would be your group number. So like let's say you're Yale number 1. That's your team, your desk number, and then your color. I really don't care about that. I just care about the class color, which is in this case red or green. Number 1 is kind of like the Quizzette that we did previously to this. It's an input-output table. So go ahead and write input. All right, so we have input, and then this is going to be our output. So if I plug in 0 for x, I would have y equals negative 3 over 2 times my input value of 0 plus 4. My next line would be y equals 0 plus 4, because anything times 0 is just 0. My next line would be y equals positive 4. And then my next line, I would write my point. My point is 0, comma 4. For every input of a 0, I would get an output of 4. 0, comma 4. Now my next input value is negative 2, so I'm going to write that in blue. Let's change it up. We have y equals negative 3 over 2 times my input value of negative 2. I'm going to put a 1 under it. I could put a 1 under any whole number. Plus 4. You have to write the rest of the equation, which is right here. Now I'm going to simplify. Y equals negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 6. And then 2 times 1 is 2 plus 4. I recognize that 6 over 2 is just another version of 3, because 2 goes into 6 3 times, plus 4. Now y is equal to 3 plus 4 is 7. Now for every input value of negative 2, I have an output value of 7. That's my point. Negative 2, comma 7. Now number 2 says, graph the equation y equals negative 3 halves x plus 4. And if I'm paying attention to my equation on number 1, I can see that this equation is the same as this equation. I can just plot 0, comma 4, negative 2, comma 7. Those are 2 points. I can plot them on my Cartesian plane and then make the line. Or I can use my y-intercept and my slope to draw my line. Let's try it. My first point is 0, comma 4. 0, comma 4 is up here. My next point, I'm going to put in blue, is negative 2, comma 7. And that's a little off the graph, but not too much. And that's right here. I have 2 points. I can connect that, and I will get a nice line. Remember, you have to extend your line as much as you can. Another way I could have did this, I'm going to do it in purple. I'm going to use my y-intercept. My y-intercept is 0, comma 4. And my slope is negative 3 over 2. That means I go down negative 3, right positive 2. So I'm going to do this in purple. So I could go to 0, comma 4, 0, comma 4, which is now in purple. And I can go down 3. 1, 2, 3, right 2, 1, 2. And lo and behold, I get the same line. There are 2 different points or 1 different point, but the line is consistent. So I can graph this by an input-output table, or I can graph this in the y equals mx plus b form. Number 3 says, what is the y-intercept for y equals negative 3 halves x plus 4? Well, the y-intercept is this plus b. Remember, y equals mx plus b. M is the slope. B is the y-intercept, which is 0, comma, whatever that number is. This is the y-intercept. So this question is asking what's the y-intercept, and that's 0, comma, positive 4. Number 4 says, what is the slope for the same equation? And we know the slope is negative 3 over 2. What is the rise for y equals negative 3 over 2? Remember, slope is rise over run. So the rise would be down 3 units, or -3. Then it says, what is the run? The run is the bottom number, which is 2. So we could say run equals 2, or you could say right 2 units, because it's positive. So the number that's on top of the slope, it's either up or down, and the number that's on bottom is either right or left. Number 7, I honestly wanted to delete number 7 from each day, but then I looked at it and I said, this is really good practice. So we do have to use a distributive property. Hopefully you remember it from last year. When there's a term outside of a parentheses, you have to distribute it by way of multiplication to both terms. -5 times -1 is -5. -5 times -5x, because those are both negative there, is positive 25x. Then do the next one. 5 times -8x is -40x. And then 5 times -2 is -10, or you could do plus -10. And then equals -4x minus 8x. Hey, you can combine those. That's -4x, technically, plus -8x. Together, that's -12x. And then you can also combine 25x and -40x. That combines to -15x. And then I can combine, I'm going to circle them in purple, -5 and -10 to be -15. All right, so now that I've combined like terms, I noticed that I have an x on the right side of the equation, and I also have an x on the left side. So I'm going to try to get x on just one side of the equation. So I have this minus 15x, so I'm going to add 15x. If I add it to one side, I have to add it to the other side. This is a 0 pair, so that cancels. So I just have -15 left over equals, and then -12x plus 15x, that's positive 3x. I want to get x by itself, so I'm going to divide both sides by 3. That's just one whole right there. But I'm not going to write 1x, I'm just going to write x. 3 goes into -15, -5 times. So there's only one solution to this expression or this equation, and it's -5. So the correct answer would be D. D. All right, number 7, I'm going to consider extra credit each day. So you have a potential to get, I think what I'll do is like extra credit is for the work. So the work will be an extra credit check, and then the correct answer will also get you the extra credit check. So Monday, I'm not going to count as extra credit because I gave it to you, but Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you have potential to get 6 extra credit points total on this Quizzette. Just try your best, and if you have any questions, make sure you raise your hand.